Heartwarming encounter exposed, single mother's incredible plea at train station leads to life-changing support. The winter air bit at Sarah's cheeks as she stood at Union Station, exhaustion weighing heavy on her shoulders. She had just finished another grueling night shift at the diner, her back aching, and a gnawing emptiness in her stomach reminding her of the financial strain. Each time she glanced at the clock, a tight knot of worry twisted in her chest. Her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, with her bright eyes and endless curiosity, deserved better than this relentless struggle. The station buzzed with the vibrant energy of well-dressed commuters laughing, planning their extravagant holiday festivities. The chime of laughter and the clinking of coffee cups felt like daggers, slicing through her own meager reality. Sarah watched as they exchanged gifts and stories, their joy contrasting starkly with her empty wallet. With a single glance, she knew there was nothing left in her kitchen except for a few crumbs and an empty jar of peanut butter. Tears stung her eyes, threatening to spill over. This was too much. Can anyone help a struggling mother? Sarah's voice trembled as she broke the silence, vulnerability gripping her heart. Heads turned, some faces with puzzled frowns while others revealed a flicker of compassion. The air around her felt electric, charged with the profound urgency of her plea. Her stomach churned as she felt the weight of judgment, weaving through her mind. What would they think of her? Then, from the edge of the crowd, an older man with silver hair approached. His eyes, kind and wise, settled on her with understanding. Sometimes, it's okay to let others carry part of your burden. You are not alone, he said softly. The words penetrated her defenses, drawing back layers of pride shielding her from vulnerability. It was a small moment, yet it felt monumental, a connection igniting a flicker of hope. Slowly, as if the universe was responding to her cry for help, the bakery owner stepped forward with bags of leftover pastries. Take these, he said. You need them more than I do. A ripple of kindness spread through the station like a warm embrace, souls uniting amidst the cold concrete and steel. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each bag brought forward, Sarah felt a pang of humility battling against her ingrained independence. Could accepting this help be seen as weakness? But as she looked down at her hands, they were trembling. She realized that accepting help from others might not only ease her burden but also illuminate the way for others trapped in similar darkness. Amidst the rising compassion, the idea of a community food drive was born, a chance to rally others in similar situations. Sarah stood at a crossroads, glancing at the eager faces forming a makeshift circle, all of them looking to her. Would she take a step into the uncharted territory of vulnerability, risk a sense of identity, and lead this initiative? Lily's trusting eyes reflected a dawning strength within her mother, urging Sarah to embrace hope. The crowd faded around her, every heartbeat echoing in her ears. She was standing on the edge of something transformational. Would she leap or retreat? The moment hung in the air, trembling with the promise of change that awaited. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the air fill her lungs like never before. The warmth from the bakery goods pulsed in her hands, reminding her of the impact kindness could have. This moment wasn't just about her, it was about everyone in that station who felt unseen. Okay, she finally said, her voice rising above the ambient noise. Let us make this happen. Each word felt like a pebble thrown into a still pond, sending ripples of determination through the crowd. The old man nodded approvingly, a smile gracing his lips. In that instant, the community shifted. People began to gather, voices blending into a powerful chord of support. Sarah felt renewed energy flow through her veins as she spoke about the idea of the food drive, how it could create a safety net for families just like hers, struggling quietly. The man stepped closer, offering to help coordinate with local businesses. It was as if they were weaving a tapestry, each thread connecting strangers with a common purpose. Immediately, hands shot up. "I can help with flyers," one woman exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "I have a truck," shouted a young man. "I'll help collect food from the stores." Sarah's heart swelled. She looked at Lily, whose eyes sparkled like stars. Part of her still battled with self-doubt, questioning if she was worthy of this support. But when she saw Lily's smile, the way her daughter's spirit seemed to brighten the drab winter morning, that doubt faded. Together, they worked quickly, the group forming plans and exchanging phone numbers. Within an hour, they had set a date, a location, and even generated a list of businesses willing to contribute. The station, once bustling with indifference, transformed into a hub of hope and collaboration. As they worked, Sarah shared her own story. About her late husband, how she juggled working nights while raising Lily alone, and the fears that kept her awake at night. Each confession drew others in closer, peeling back layers of their struggles too. They laughed, cried, and realized how much they had in common. It wasn't just about the food, it was about building a community that would lift each other up. Hours later, as the sun began to set, the group dispersed. They hugged, exchanged contact information, and promised to meet again. Sarah watched them go, each person carrying a little piece of that day with them. But as Sarah and Lily walked home through the now empty station, a knot of anxiety twisted in Sarah's stomach. The food drive was a wonderful idea, yes, but doubt crept in like an unwelcome guest. Would people really show up? What if they failed to collect enough food? Lily noticed her mother's expression and asked, "Mom, are we really going to help everyone?" "Yes, sweetheart," Sarah replied, forcing a smile, even as worry gnawed at her heart. "We are going to do our best." That much she knew was true. As they stepped into the frigid night, Sarah felt a flicker of uncertainty but also a budding sense of purpose. She quickly shoved the doubts aside. They had started something special, something worthwhile. Still, as they approached their apartment, a small voice whispered at the back of her mind. What if this journey took a turn she wasn't prepared for? What if the community they hoped to build revealed deeper struggles they hadn't anticipated? Before she could dwell on those thoughts, Lily tugged at her hand. "Mom, can we bake pastries tomorrow? For the food drive?" A laugh escaped Sarah's lips, and for the first time that evening, warmth replaced her doubts. "Of course, we can." As they walked through the door, Sarah couldn't help but feel something had shifted. Tomorrow would be an adventure, and it would bring them closer together. But as sleep crept in, so did the question that hung heavy in the air: were they truly ready for whatever was waiting on the other side? Sarah woke to the sound of sunlight streaming through her window. The golden rays warmed her face, coaxing her out of bed. She stretched, pulling the blankets away to reveal Lily peacefully sleeping beside her, a small smile playing on her lips. Today was the day they would bake for the food drive, a promise made the night before. After a quick breakfast, Sarah and Lily donned their aprons. Flour dust filled the air, creating a light-hearted atmosphere in their tiny kitchen. They danced to music playing in the background, their laughter blending seamlessly with the rhythmic clinking of mixing bowls and measuring cups. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt light, like the weight of her worries had lifted, if only just for a moment. "Can we make those blueberry muffins I love?" Lily asked, her eyes dancing with excitement. "Sure thing, kiddo," Sarah grinned, pulling out the ingredients. They began their work, scooping and mixing, eggs cracking open like opportunities, messy but satisfying. As they baked, the conversation flowed. Sarah shared memories of baking with her grandmother, the way her laughter would fill the kitchen. Each memory sparked joy in Lily's eyes, and together they turned the mundane into magic, transforming simple ingredients into something special. With every muffin that went into the oven, Sarah felt their connection deepen, the act of baking weaving their spirits like knitted yarn. Once the muffins were ready, the sweet aroma wafted through the air, drawing them to the kitchen window. As they peered out, Sarah felt a pang of nervousness. What if nobody shows up? She thought of all those hesitant faces at the train station, the joy she saw in their eyes, and her heart clenched. But the warmth in the kitchen pushed those thoughts aside, reminding her of the strength they had found in each other. The afternoon passed quickly, filled with giggles, baking disasters, and frosting fights. Each mishap only added to the richness of the experience, turning what could have been a chore into an unforgettable memory. Soon, they had a whole tray of decorated treats ready for the food drive. With a sense of accomplishment, they packed the sweets into sturdy boxes. Sarah took a moment to admire their work. "Look at what we've made, Lil. We're really going to do this," she whispered, pride swelling in her heart. Just as they finished cleaning up, a knock echoed through their apartment. They exchanged confused glances. Sarah opened the door to find Mr. Hayes, their neighbor. The kind old man stood at their threshold, a warm smile stretching across his face. In his hands, he held a box filled with fresh produce. "I heard about your food drive," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "I wanted to help out. Got some extra tomatoes and peppers from my garden. They might come in handy." Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes as she accepted the box, overwhelmed by the kindness. "Thank you so much, Mr. Hayes." Her emotion was raw, a mixture of gratefulness and disbelief at the spirit of community blooming around them. Lily tugged at her sleeve, her eyes wide. "Can we invite him for muffins?" Mr. Hayes chuckled, brushing his hat back. "I'd love to join, if there's enough for all of us." As they laughed and discussed what came next, Sarah felt a spark ignite inside her. Slowly, the worries she held turned into quiet determination. She knew the food drive wasn't just about collecting food anymore, it was about building relationships, sharing stories, and lifting each other up. Yet, as the conversation flowed, a nagging question lingered at the edges of Sarah's mind. What if the community's needs were greater than she realized? What if her quiet neighborhood had struggles far deeper than muffins could mend? "Mom, do you think we'll help a lot of people?" Lily asked, her innocence grounding Sarah. Sarah looked at her daughter, the embodiment of hope. "I believe we can, sweetheart." But even as she smiled, uncertainty tugged at her heart. "And I believe we're just getting started." In that moment, a new excitement flickered, mixed with that familiar anxiety, leaving Sarah grappling with the possibilities ahead. What if this food drive became more than they ever imagined? What if it led them to uncover truths about their community they hadn't yet seen? As the evening settled in, Sarah and Lily gathered in the living room, their shared excitement vibrating through the air. The kitchen, now tidy and smelling sweet, felt like a cozy embrace. Mr. Hayes had found a spot on their small couch, his presence buoying their spirits further. They chatted about everything from the upcoming bake sale to the quirks of city life. Mr. Hayes shared stories of his childhood, of simpler times when neighbors helped each other without a second thought. As they shared laughter and memories, Sarah noticed a change within herself. The nagging doubts that had begun to creep back into her mind faded with every chuckle. Maybe they really could make a difference. Suddenly, a chime from Sarah's phone broke the moment. She hesitated before checking it, a sense of foreboding settling over her. The message was from her friend Annie, someone who had been a part of more than a few fundraising efforts. It read, "Hey. Did you hear about the recent layoffs at the factory? They're saying some families might need extra support. Let me know if you need help." Her heart sunk. The weight of reality pressed heavily on her chest. She shared the news with Lily and Mr. Hayes, their joyful conversation instantly shifting. "What does that mean for our drive?" Lily's face fell, confusion flickering across her features. "It means we need to be ready for more people, sweetheart," Sarah replied gently, "but we'll do our best. There's always room to help others." But deep down, fear stirred. Could a few muffins and vegetables really change lives? Mr. Hayes nodded in solemn agreement. "You're right, Sarah. It may feel small, but comfort can come in the simplest forms. Those muffins you two made might bring smiles when people need it the most. He leaned closer, the pink glow from the lamp illuminating the weathered lines on his face. Every act of kindness begins a ripple effect. It can inspire others to join in and support one another. Sarah absorbed his words, her resolve strengthening. They had started something beautiful, but now it felt bigger than just a baking session. It was a chance to foster hope. They could extend their reach beyond simple treats. The conversation shifted gear, and together they began brainstorming more ideas. Mr. Hayes suggested organizing a small neighborhood meeting, inviting others to contribute food or time. Every little bit would help, he assured them. Lily chimed in with eagerness. What if we made more muffins? And maybe some cookies, too? Mom, we could make a flyer to tell everyone what we're doing. A smile crept back onto Sarah's face. That's a brilliant idea. We can spread the word to our friends and family. Every person counts, Lil. Through her daughter's enthusiasm, the atmosphere lightened again. Yet, as the plans flowed, a lingering question hung in the air. What if the community responded but their efforts still weren't enough? The thought sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Just as Sarah was about to voice her concerns, she noticed Lily's gaze focused on something outside the window. Mom! Look! They turned to see a small group forming at the edge of their street. Curious. Sarah felt her heart race. Were these people drawn by their idea? Mr. Hayes leaned forward, his eyes sparkling with interest. Shall we go see? With each step toward the door, anticipation bubbled in Sarah's chest. It was the moment finally here. The community response she had secretly hoped for. As they stepped outside, the reality of their neighborhood stood before them, ready to unveil what lay beneath the surface of her previous worries. But just as they approached the gathering crowd, a nervous thought crossed Sarah's mind. What if this was just the beginning of something much bigger? Would they be ready for what was about to unfold? With her heart pounding, Sarah locked eyes with Mr. Hayes, who seemed to sense the impending transformation with her. The evening held endless possibilities, and she felt on the edge of something she couldn't quite define. As they reached the edge of the gathering, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The small crowd, consisting of neighbors she recognized but hadn't spoken to much, buzzed with energy. Some were holding homemade signs with messages of support, others brought bags filled with food. It was overwhelming and exhilarating all at once. Mom, look! They know! Lily exclaimed, pointing to a few familiar faces. Mrs. Thompson, from down the block, waved them over enthusiastically. We heard about your bake sale. We wanted to help. Her wrinkled hands clutched a platter of cookies, and her warm smile spread a sense of belonging through Sarah. Thank you, thank you. Sarah responded, feeling her heart expand with gratitude. It was an unexpected show of unity, a clear sign that people were willing to stand together during tough times. This means so much to us. Mr. Hayes stood nearby, catching the eye of another neighbor, Mr. Jensen. We all have something to give, no matter how small, he stated, the glimmer in his eye igniting a fire within Sarah. His words had a way of making everyone feel included and important. Little by little, the crowd expanded into what felt like an impromptu festival of hope and kindness. Laughter echoed as neighbors shared stories, ideas floated around about pooling resources, and plans began to take shape. Sarah shared her initial vision, her aspirations for the bake sale morphing into something even bigger, a food drive not just for baked goods, but for meals, essentials, and solidarity. Let's make it a community picnic. Lily shouted out, her eyes sparkling with excitement. We can all bring something and share. As whispers of agreement spread like wildfire, Sarah's heart raced with possibilities. That's brilliant, Lil. We can set a date, and everyone can contribute. A ripple of enthusiasm washed over the crowd. They began discussing where to hold it, how to spread the word, and ways to ensure that everyone would feel welcome. But as Sarah soaked in the energy, a smile slowly faded from her face. The initial excitement was tempered by a nagging feeling. What if this wasn't just a one-time event? What if the needs of their community were deeper than she had anticipated? Mr. Hayes sidled up to her, sensing her change in mood. The fact that people are here tonight, sharing their time, this is where it begins, Sarah. Don't lose sight of that. His words wrapped around her, grounding her, yet her pulse raced with uncertainty. But what if it's not enough? What if more families are struggling than we can reach? Then we push forward. Every meal we provide, every smile we share, it matters. Let the community respond, and let us adapt with their needs. Lily, blissfully unaware of the tension, tugged on Sarah's sleeve. Can we make signs too? To tell everyone about our picnic? It'll be so cool. A chuckle escaped Sarah's lips, and she bent down to hug her daughter. That's the spirit. We'll make it a celebration, a gathering full of love and hope. As they began to plan, Sarah realized how much strength resided in vulnerability. To open themselves up to receive help from others was a beautifully scary thing. The evening that had begun with doubt transformed into something far more profound: possibility and connection. Just when Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose welling inside her, a figure emerged from the crowd. It was Annie, her friend from the message earlier. She stepped forward, a determined spark in her eyes. I just heard what you're doing. I want in. There is something big happening, and it's not just about baked goods. Sarah's heart raced again, this time with a blend of excitement and trepidation. What revelation was Annie about to share? What did that signify for their plans ahead? As the crowd buzzed around them, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight and the thrill of it all settle like a gentle wave at her feet. This was just the beginning. Annie's eyes sparkled under the dim lights of the gathering as she continued, I was just at the station, and I overheard something. There's a woman there, a single mother who is struggling. She just wanted a ride to a shelter, but it hit me. There is so much more we could do. Sarah felt a tightness in her chest. The image of a mother in need struck a chord deep within her. What do you mean? She asked, needing to know more. There's south this place downtown, they've started a support system for families. But they're short on donations. Food, clothing, anything. We can connect our picnic to something even bigger, Annie explained, her voice steady but filled with urgency. The crowd's laughter faded, replaced by a quiet resonance of shared concern. Sarah looked around, her thoughts swirling. Are there really that many families out there who need help? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if she feared the truth would shatter her idealism. Absolutely, Annie said. We think everyone is doing okay, but that's not always the case. Many people are just one paycheck away from crisis. Lily, still holding her mother's hand, observed the shift in atmosphere. She squeezed it tighter, sensing the gravity of the situation. Mom. She piped up, what about those families? Can we really help them all? Deep inside, a determination flickered. Yes, we can. We'll start with what we have and grow from there, Sarah said, conviction lining her words. Annie nodded enthusiastically. We can collect more than food for the picnic. Clothes, toys, anything. Let us see how far this idea can stretch. The crowd reawakened, buzzing with new energy. Plans transformed, expanding like ripples on water. Sarah felt hope coalesce with action, and the ever-present fear began to dwindle. They worked through the night, crafting signs and brainstorming ways to spread the news. Laughter punctuated their conversations once more, and all around her, Sarah felt the vibrant rhythm of community forming around a shared purpose. As they secured the location and drafted flyers, the idea of doing more than a simple picnic transformed into an all-out mission. When the night came to a close, and neighbors began to disperse, a feeling of camaraderie lingered in the air. Mom! Lily exclaimed again, her bright eyes shining with excitement. Can we bake special things for that mom at the station? I want to make it extra special for her." Tears threatened to spill from Sarah's eyes as she nodded, overwhelmed by her daughter's huge heart. "Of course we will, sweetie. She deserves to feel loved." The next day was bright and sunny, almost mocking the urgency and complexity of the emotions swirling around Sarah. As she stood in front of her kitchen counter, preparing ingredients for the first batch of cookies, a sense of fear mixed with elation swept over her. What if they could do this? What if they could really make a change? That day, they baked with joy and purpose. Each cookie she slid into the oven felt like a piece of hope infused with love. But as they cooled, and the smell wafted through her home, something else nagged at Sarah: the fear of failure, of not being enough. Just as the chaos settled, a knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. It was Mr. Hayes again, but this time he looked serious. "Sarah, there's something you need to hear," he said urgently, stepping inside as the light vanished behind him. Her heart raced as she scanned his face for answers, the tender joy of the previous night replaced with unease. What news was he carrying that needed to be shared now? Was it about their plans or something more personal? Before she could ask, he continued, "I think we need to prepare for something bigger than we imagined." The words hung in the air, weighty and full of implication. What lay ahead? Would the community rally together as deeply as she hoped? And as that question echoed in her mind, Sarah felt a familiar flicker of determination stirring within her, even as uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud on the horizon. Sarah stood frozen for a moment, grappling with Mr. Hayes' words. Her heart raced, a concoction of anxiety and anticipation swirling within her. "What do you mean, bigger?" She finally managed to ask, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. "The station isn't just an isolated case," he replied, his voice low. "I've been talking to folks in our neighborhood, and there are families struggling, more than we realized. This single mother's plight is just a snapshot of a much larger picture." The weight of his revelation struck Sarah hard. She felt the walls of her cozy kitchen closing in, the warmth replaced by the chill of reality. Were they actually ready for this? Could they really make an impact? Lily, sensing a shift in the atmosphere, looked up at her mother with wide eyes. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, honey," Sarah said, trying to smile, but the worry clung to her voice. "Just, something we need to think about." Mr. Hayes continued, "We are all in this together. We can't just slide by pretending everything's fine. But I believe your idea could turn into a movement. Imagine, a united community that helps not just that one mother but many others. We could transform how our neighborhood interacts." Sarah nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She felt a rush of responsibility, mingled with hope. They weren't just baking cookies anymore, they were starting something meaningful. "So what should we do?" she asked, the spark of determination reigniting within her. "We need to mobilize," he said passionately. "Let us get more voices involved. Advertise this drive on social media, reach out to local businesses, find volunteers. Let us make this a community-wide effort to show everyone they aren't alone." Lily chimed in. "Can I help too? I can make more cookies. And maybe we should have a games booth. Kids will come for the games and stay for the food and the love." A smile crept across Sarah's face at her daughter's enthusiasm. "That sounds like a fantastic idea, sweetie. We'll get everyone involved." Fueled by Lily's excitement, Sarah felt a surge of energy. As they began outlining plans, writing down contact lists, and sketching flyers, the anticipation grew. Days turned into a whirlwind of activity. The community rallied around the cause. They collected clothes, toys, food, and even school supplies for families in need. Local businesses chipped in, donating not just goods but also time and spaces for the upcoming event. Sarah remembered Annie's words, and her mind spun with possibility. Every evening was filled with baking, crafting, and connecting, and each cookie seemed to carry a heartbeat of hope. However, as the days flew by, another heaviness began to settle on Sarah. What if they didn't meet the need? What if their best wasn't good enough? These fears gnawed at her like an unwelcome shadow. During one particularly vulnerable moment, while icing sugar cookies with Lily, Sarah's heart broke a little. "Mom?" Lily asked, her small voice pulling Sarah from her spiraling thoughts. "Will we help that mom at the station?" "Yes, we will," Sarah replied, her voice thick with emotion as she looked into her daughter's eyes. "Not just her, but so many others. We're all going to do our best." Lily giggled, "Then we better make more cookies." "And we will," Sarah said, her heart swelling with pride. She had to believe. The day of their grand event finally arrived, and excitement buzzed in the air. Colorful banners waved, tables overflowed with baked goods, and laughter echoed in the park. But just as Sarah felt momentum building, she noticed a woman standing at the edge of the crowd, her eyes filled with uncertainty. The moment hung like a taut string in the air. Sarah's heart quickened as she recognized the profile from before. Could this be the mother from the station? And did she hold the key to this unfolding story? Sarah took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she walked toward the woman, ready to embrace whatever emotions lay ahead. Sarah took tentative steps toward the woman. Each footfall felt like a drumbeat in her ears. As she got closer, the details sharpened. The woman's hair was tied back in a frayed ponytail, her clothes a patchwork of faded fabric. She shifted from foot to foot, uncertainty radiating from her. "Hi there," Sarah said gently, her voice cutting through the noise of laughter and celebration. "Are you looking for someone?" The woman looked up, surprise flickering across her face as if caught off guard. No. I heard about this event. I thought I might come by." The hesitance in her tone pricked at Sarah's heart. "You're welcome here. I'm Sarah, and this is a community event to help families in need." She gestured around her. "We have food, games, everything. It's meant to bring us all together." I'm sorry," the woman stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't need anything. I was just curious." "Please don't apologize," Sarah replied, softening her gaze. "Sometimes it's just nice to be around others. Would you like a cookie? I baked them myself." She extended a plate, filled with colorful treats. The woman hesitated, then took a cookie, her fingers brushing against Sarah's. A small jolt of connection sparked between them, one that felt fragile yet profound. "Thank you," the woman said, taking a hesitant bite. A moment of surprise crossed her face, followed by a hint of a smile. "They're good. I'm glad." Sarah encouraged, feeling a warmth bubble inside her. "What's your name?" "Diana," she replied quietly. "I work at the diner down the street." "Oh, that's nice," Sarah said, trying to keep the conversation light. "It's great to have local businesses like that." Diana nodded, but her gaze drifted beyond Sarah, towards the crowd. The change in expression was subtle but telling, something inside her was holding back. "You don't have to stay away," Sarah said, sensing the unspoken struggle within her. "We all have our battles. You're not alone." Diana's eyes flickered with something unidentifiable, fear, perhaps. "I don't think I can. It's complicated." "What's complicated?" Sarah prompted gently, emotions swirling within her. She felt drawn to dig deeper, to help if she could. "I just lost my job," Diana confessed, her voice shaking slightly. "I wasn't sure how to feed my kids. I came here hoping." "What if I told you we are here for you?" "There's help available," Sarah replied, her heart racing as she opened up her own vulnerability. "We've all had tough times, but together we can build something better. The community is ready to help." Diana's eyes glistened with unshed tears, vulnerability spilling forth as she fought to hold it together. "But what if they don't really mean it? What if it's just empty?" "They mean it," Sarah insisted, feeling passionately for this stranger. "It's all real, Diana. It's our way of showing that we care. You can let us be a part of your story, if you want to." After a long pause, Diana finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to believe that." "Then take a step forward with us," Sarah replied, sensing the decision was hanging in the air. "Those cookies are just the beginning." But as Sarah reached for Diana's hand, several voices erupted behind them. A group of excited children detained their attention, chanting for games and laughter, temporarily casting aside the heaviness. Sarah turned to look, a sense of urgency bubbling up inside her. "Let us join them," she suggested, not wanting the moment to slip away. "Come on, you might find a little joy amidst it all." As they walked toward the laughter, Sarah felt her heart racing for a different reason. There was hope, and possibly, a chance for connection. But as they neared the commotion, another woman stepped forward, her expression fierce, her arms crossed. "Diana!" she called out, her voice cutting through the joyful noise like a knife. Sarah's heart sank at the tension building. Who was this new arrival? And what part were they about to play in this unfolding drama? The air shifted with the new woman's arrival, and Sarah felt the warmth that had enveloped her moments before disintegrate into cold uncertainty. Diana flinched at the call of her name, her expression shifting from tentative resilience to something tighter, more guarded. Sarah instinctively stepped closer, her heart pounding. She had been bridging a moment filled with hope, but now an interruption loomed like a storm cloud. The new woman was imposing, with her arms folded tightly across her chest and a glare that could cut through steel. Sarah caught the glimmer of something sharp in her eyes, a protective instinct, perhaps, but laced with accusation. "What are you doing here, Diana?" she challenged, her voice ringing with authority. Diana's shoulders slumped a little, the cookie almost slipping from her hand as the weight of the moment settled on her. I was just talking," she replied, her voice now trembling with a mix of embarrassment and fear. "Talking? With who?" The woman gestured dismissively toward Sarah, as if she were some unknown threat. "You can't just come out here, looking like that, and expect people to treat you nice. You know better." "Please," Sarah interjected, feeling her pulse quicken. "I'm just trying to help." "She's welcome here." "No, you don't understand," the fierce woman replied sharply. "This isn't a charity for the likes of her. This is real life, and it's tough. You can't just waltz in and think you can find help like that." Diana's face reddened as the words hit her. Sarah felt helpless, her gut twisted with empathy for Diana, whose openness had already torn at her heart. The festive sounds of laughter felt muffled now, as if the joy had receded to the background. "Look at you, Diana," the woman continued, her voice softer but still loaded with disdain. "You need to pull yourself together. Get back to work, find a way. We've all got problems." Diana's hands shook slightly as she clutched the cookie, her grip tightening. "I am trying," she managed to choke out. I came here for some support." "Support? From these people?" The woman scoffed. "They're not your family. They can't fix your life." Sarah could feel the tears prickling at the corners of her eyes as she took a step forward. "Diana does deserve support. We all do. This community is about connection and helping one another navigate our struggles." The fierce woman pivoted toward Sarah, silence hanging thick between them. It was clear that she felt cornered, uncertain of how to respond to someone willing to stand up for Diana. Sarah could see a flicker of doubt in her eyes, maybe a crack in the armor she held so tightly. "Sometimes, it takes someone reaching out for change to happen," Sarah continued, her voice steady even if her heart raced. "What harm does it do to show kindness? We need each other, especially in difficult times like these." Diana looked from Sarah to the fierce woman, her expression a mix of hope and desperation. The tension in the air was palpable, pulsating with unspoken fears and dreams. "Maybe, we can find a way to make this work," Diana ventured carefully, a brave light flickering in her eyes. But the fierce woman's brows knitted together, as if weighing the options, caught between her instinct to protect and the stirring of something deeper, a chance to believe in possibility once more. Change isn't easy, she muttered finally, less defensively than before, her tone softening just a hint. Sarah held her breath, feeling the atmosphere shift ever so slightly. Would this be a moment to reform, or would fear snuff it out before it had the chance to ignite? As she waited, a sudden chorus of laughter erupted from the children surrounding them, pulling the three women back to reality. "Come on! Join us!" One of the kids shouted, the simple joy cutting through the tension. Would this chaotic call to play break down the barriers, or would it feel like just another way to avoid connection? Diana hesitated, her gaze wavering almost imperceptibly between the fierce woman and Sarah. Would she choose to walk into the laughter, or retreat back into her shadow? The answer was unreadable, thick with the weight of new possibilities. What would tomorrow bring? Diana stood at the crossroads of uncertainty, the laughter of children cascading like soft waves around her. The tension hung thick, she felt it in the air, felt the weight of social norms tugging at her hem. But as she glanced at Sarah's open and welcoming face, something in her gut began to shift. Maybe I'll give it a try," Diana finally said, her voice breaking and soft, yet optimistic. Sarah's heart lifted like a kite caught in an upward draft. "Come on. It's so much fun," she replied, motioning for Diana to join the throng of eager faces. The fierce woman stepped back, arms loosening from their cross. "Just don't expect it to change everything," she murmured, almost to herself. The crowd, filled with kindness and laughter, became an invitation. Diana took a tentative step forward, her eyes scanning the playful chaos around her. She caught the sight of kids tossing beanbags and decorating cookies at the craft table, each expression filled with raw joy. And in that moment, like a warm summer breeze breaking through a cold winter's chill, she grabbed Sarah's arm, a silent agreement strengthening between them. "Okay, let us do this together," Diana breathed quietly, her courage surprising even her. As they walked forward hand in hand, Sarah felt a rush of hope flaring within her. As faces lit up around them, those playful moments shifted from apprehension to laughter shared. The kids soon welcomed Diana in, with innocent smiles that disarmed her doubts. A little girl in pigtails approached, offering her a rainbow-colored cookie. "Here. They taste yummy," she chirped, and Diana felt her heart softening just a bit more. Meanwhile, the fierce woman, still standing close by, began to let the barriers down. Sarah caught her eyes, and for a fleeting second, she recognized an unfamiliar emotion floating between them, a willingness to embrace, to understand. "Would you like to join us?" Sarah asked her, her tone extending an invitation. The woman's expression flickered, caught somewhere between hesitance and possibility. As the hubbub continued, Diana's laughter mingled with the crowd, each giggle becoming a thread, weaving her into the fabric of proximity and warmth. There was something about sharing the moment that felt like shedding layers of loneliness. Even amid uncertainty, trust began to blossom in unexpected places. Just then, a shout erupted from the far end of the picnic. "We're kicking off a game over here." A crowd surged in that direction, eager for the fun. "Yes!" Diana exclaimed, a bright spark igniting in her eyes. "Let us go." Her reaction surprised her as she let go of fears that had held her back for so long. They rushed into the thrumming energy, the simple joviality pouncing on their insecurities. Sarah could see how this new experience widened the lens of connection. It was as if a door had swung open, revealing not just Diana but many hidden stories. And while laughter echoed around them, a touch of reflection lingered. The fierce woman stepped closer, her gaze softening as she observed the transformation unfolding. Sarah felt drawn to her again, the unvoiced questions dancing on her lips. "What would it take for you to take a step forward?" Sarah prodded gently, aware of the vulnerability of the moment. "Change is hard," the fierce woman finally admitted, though the words were marked with introspection, maybe even a hint of longing. "Absolutely," Sarah responded earnestly, stepping into the uncomfortable space. But sometimes it starts with taking a chance. Just look at how far we've all come tonight. With the crowd uniting in joy, even the fierce woman felt caught up in the warmth of the moment. Her guard lowered a fraction more. Perhaps, there is something to that, she murmured. The laughter that rippled through the air felt like a tapestry of shared experiences, bound together by hope. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling they were part of something larger unfolding, a chance for real connection amidst their diverse lives. At that moment, Diana turned to Sarah, her face lit with newfound confidence. "Thank you for encouraging me. I didn't know if I could face this," she said, genuine gratitude sparkling in her eyes. "I really needed this." A powerful wave of fulfillment crashed over Sarah. "You're part of this community now," she replied warmly, "and together, we can build even more. Remember, it's okay to lean on one another." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue across the field, laughter rang through the air like chimes in the wind. The crowd swirled in an embrace of acceptance and possibility. Each smile, each too quick hug of children, was everything. Sarah felt a sense of unity that came from being vulnerable, from stepping into the unknown and allowing change to evolve. With the community growing closer, Sarah turned to watch the playful interactions. She saw not just faces but stories, struggles, and triumphs mingling and melding together. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just the start of a food drive. It was the beginning of a family, a tapestry of love. In this captivating moment, surrounded by laughter, warmth, and growing connections, Sarah finally recognized the truth: change was possible, one cookie, one smile, one shared struggle at a time. As the laughter ached into the night and the stars began to twinkle overhead, Sarah turned to Lily, offering a radiant smile. "We did it, kiddo. We really did something special today." Lily looked up, her eyes wide and bright. "And we can keep going. This is just the beginning." And as Sarah held her daughter close and gazed over the swelling crowd, she thought, yes, we are only just beginning. Together, they had forged a spark of transformation. Endless possibilities lay ahead, waiting for their embrace. So now it was time for all of us, every single person who has listened to this story, to join in this wave of kindness. You need to subscribe now to be part of this journey and witness the transformations that await. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this message far and wide. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, what touched your heart the most. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can create change, one heart at a time.